Alright there guys, and welcome back to another video. Today it is time for my overview and look back at the 2023 spring anime season. So I made this exact same type of video for the winter season on the second channel back at the end of March. That's back when I thought I was going to be making more anime and videos like that on my second channel, which of course I'm not. That's all still on here. But it's going to be the same type of video. Instead of trying to cover many different individual shows in their own videos, I've decided that going forward for seasonal anime, what I'm going to do is I'm going to basically just talk a little bit about every show I watched across that specific season. So, the spring season is what we've got today. Great start. And the 5 shows I've watched across the spring season are Tonikawa Season 2, Dr. Stone Season 3, Demon Slayer The Swordsmith Village Arc, Oshinoko, and the Konosuba Megumin prequel show. So let's get into the look back and overview. So we'll start off with Tonikawa Season 2. If you've forgotten what Tonikawa is, it's the show about Nasa and Tsukasa, the couple that basically got married as it was basically love at first sight, and they got married very early on in the show. And the show is about their daily lives and what they get up to. Season 2 had them venturing out a bit more than what Season 1 did. The highlights of Season 2 are going to an amusement park where they run into NASA's old school teacher, Miss Yanagi. She was asked to go to the amusement park by a co-worker, and Nasa and Tsukasa are the ones who convince her into going. Which ends up with, close to the end of the season, with Miss Yanagi about to get married to the co-worker that she went to the amusement park with after being convinced by Nasa and Tsukasa to go. Now, a big part of Season 1 was Chitose, the blonde girl, who would constantly follow Tsukasa around, and try to get her back. In Season 2, she does do this, but not as often. She's toned that down a little bit from the first season. We're also introduced to a couple of new characters. NASA's cousin, who everybody thought was a member of the Yukaza, the Yukaza. But it turns out he's not. He just looks like he is. So overall, it was a good show. I enjoyed it just like I did with Season 1. But it was definitely the show I enjoyed the least out of these 5. But I still enjoyed it. Next, we'll move on to Demon Slayer's Swordsmith Village arc. Obviously, Studio Ufotable had a lot going for them coming into this season. With how well received the Entertainment District arc last year was, this season, of course, followed Tanjiro going after another upper rank demon, just like he did in the previous season. And we also meet some of the Hashiras from the first season make a return. Muchiro, the Mist Hashira, and Mitsuri, the Love Hashira. Those two were quite important characters for this season of the show. And they have their own different battles and struggles across their respective fights when they're faced with the most powerful demon they've seen yet. And the Demon Slayer went pretty big this time around, because for season 3, the first episode of the season was 45 minutes long, and the final episode of the season was 51 minutes long. Everywhere it was going around being advertised that the final episode of the season was an hour long. It wasn't, it was 51 minutes long. The fight scenes in the Swordsmith Village arc were really good. We didn't get to see much of Muzan in this season, a bit like in season 2 in the Entertainment District arc. We didn't get to see much of him there either. You may remember that in the Mugen Train arc, Rengoku gets killed by the demon Akaza. He makes an appearance in season 3, but only in the first episode. The main demon of this season is a demon that has multiple different life forms, but only one of them is actually the main one that needs to be sliced open in order to be defeated. And the main one is like really, really small and extremely durable, to where Tanjiro's regular sword isn't enough to cut its head open. We also get some more backstory on each of the two main Hashiras of this season. We have Muchiro, who had a twin brother who was a lot stronger than him, a lot more strong-willed than him, but he got murdered by a demon protecting their mother. And Muchiro was the only sole survivor of the attack. And he was found by a woman who works with the Hashiras to bring him in, to train him into being one. And the backstory for Mitsuri is we are shown that she was a lot stronger than any of the other girls around her age. And in the village she lived in, she was being told that she shouldn't be as strong as she is. She should be more feminine. and she should get married and have children. Which, because people might forget this, but Demon Slayer is set about 100 years in the past from now. It's set in the around the 1910s, 1920s. That's when the show is actually set. It's set about 100 years ago. But Mizuri's parents, especially her dad, told her that she doesn't need to change who she is. She doesn't need to stop being strong just because people are telling her to. She should embrace the fact that she's strong. And she is definitely one of the highlights throughout the season, with how powerful she is. And probably another highlight for the show, for which a lot of people will probably agree with, is the very end of the season. You know how demons in Demon Slayer can't survive in sunlight? Well, Nezuko also had that drawback on her, didn't she? But after defeating the most recent demon, Nezuko actually is able to survive the sunlight, and also for the first time in a non-flashback or non-vision, Nezuko actually speaks properly for the very first time. But she has none of her memories from before she was turned into a demon. So she can't say very much, because she's basically got the mind of an infant, a child. Because she's lost all previous memories of when she was a human before being turned into half a demon. So yeah, overall, Demon Slayer Season 3, another solid season of Demon Slayer. Personally though, I think Season 2, the Entertainment District arc, was slightly better than was ever so slightly better than the Swordsmith Village arc. And we've already had it confirmed that the Hashira training arc is the next one for Demon Slayer, so that will be Season 4. And probably the biggest thing about Season 3 that I didn't like is that Inosuke and Zenitsu basically don't have anything to do with this season. We see Inosuke right at the beginning of the season, and we see Zenitsu right at the end. That's it. We don't see either of them for any other point during the season. They have absolutely no impact on the story of Season 3. Which is a bit disappointing because, like, Tanjiro, Zenitsu, and Inosuke, those are like they're the team. They're the Demon Slayer team that we're all familiar with. And two of those three members just didn't have anything to do with this season. Right then, let's get on to Dr. Stone. So, Dr. Stone Season 3 was a follow-up of the Risui 1 hour special episode that aired last year, where Senku and the Kingdom of Science are looking for the exact reason. They're searching for why the world got turned to stone in the first place 3,700 years in the past. That's the main goal of Season 3. Searching for why the world got turned to stone in the first place. And also to secure and locate the infinite petrification device, where they can revive all of humanity. That's what the season heavily is focused on. And the during the season, we get to see that the astronauts that were in space when the world got turned to stone, who were not affected by this, were the ones that began the restart of civilization. That Senku then picked up that trail. The highlight of Season 3 was probably close to the end, where Kohaku and Ginro have to infiltrate the enemy base. Of course, Ginro's not a girl, but has to disguise as one. And Kohaku basically has to be made to look a lot less powerful than what she is and look a lot cuter than she actually is. But it works. They manage to infiltrate it, and they even locate the device. With everyone in the crew, apart from Senku, Gen, Kohaku, Ginro, and this bald guy that I can't remember the name of. I don't think he has a name. Who shows up later on. All of them have been turned to stone, but the ones I've just mentioned have not. And they've located that the petrification that turned the world to stone actually wasn't just some natural disaster that happened. It was someone actually can use the device to turn anything around them to stone as a weapon. So yeah, Season 3 of Dr. Stone, quite enjoyed it. Next, we've got the first new show to talk about of the season, Oshinoko. This show was written by the same manga writer who wrote Love is War. So that's already good. That already makes it sound like this could be good just because it's him. This show is about... Well, this show is it's really interesting, this show. It starts off with this doctor who's a big fan of this idol called Ai Hoshino, who has stars in her eyes. That's her big a notable part of her character design. And she's a 16-year-old idol who this doctor is a big fan of, and one of his patients, who is terminally ill is going to die of cancer very soon, a young girl, is also a very big fan of Ai Hoshino, and the doctor and the patient bond over that. But then Ai reveals that she's pregnant with twins and happens to go to the hospital this doctor works at, and she happens to be assigned to him. But the night that her twins are born, the doctor is actually murdered in a forest late that night, and the young girl passes away of cancer. So when Ai's twins are born, the mind of the doctor goes into the boy that's just been born, and the girl that just passed away from cancer, her mind goes into the girl that has just been born. And the children end up being called Aqua and Ruby. I wonder why. And those two basically have all of their past memories of the life they just lost into the new babies that they've just become. And the first episode is about Ai trying to keep her children a secret from the public, but later on, many years later, some people have managed to figure it out, but no one's figured out that Aqua and Ruby are the children of Ai Hoshino. The first episode of this show is an hour and 20 minutes long. It's a long one. It's longer than some anime movies, this episode. And it ends very tragically with the same guy that murdered the doctor in the forest early on in the episode. The very same guy then stabs Ai at her own front door of her home, which kills her. Every episode after the first one is set when many years later, when Aqua and Ruby are in high school, and they go to this like high school that's for like people like fashion models, actors, singers, stuff like that. And Aqua ends up going on a show, a reality dating show, to maybe get some information about Ai and who the biological father of the two twins are, and who it is, because he does not know who the biological father is. Aqua also goes into an acting. Also acts in a live action drama version of a manga called Sweet Love, I think it's called. You might remember that name because it's a manga that was referenced in Love is War in season 2 when Shirogane sister Kei is crying over reading it, and then says Shirogane himself will cry if he reads it, and he says, "Yeah, bet I won't," and then actually starts crying when he's reading it in the bath. I thought that was so cool to have that same manga referenced in a completely different show. But of course, the manga writer wrote both Love is War and Oshinoko, so that makes sense why this manga has appeared in both of those shows, because the same person wrote both shows. And it's so cool. I thought it was really damn cool when the fact that they bring back something that was a gag in Love is War, a funny, some part of a joke in Love is War, gets turned into its own little section in an episode of this show. And Ruby, the girl, she wants to become an idol just like her mother was, and recruits these two other people called Kana and Memcho. Kana was a very successful child actor, but ever since she's gotten a bit older, people have stopped taking notice of her. And Memcho is a TikToker turned live streamer, which sounds horrible if you equate it to real life, but she's actually, I believe in Memcho supremacy. If you've watched the show, you understand what I mean. So yeah, Oshinoko, really, really interesting show. Didn't know what to expect going in, but I've been very impressed with it. And finally, only one more show to talk about, the Konosuba Megumin prequel show, showing us Megumin's story of what she was doing before she met Kazuma and Aqua. The first half of the season takes place in the academy that was shown off in the Konosuba movie, where Megumin and Yunyun first meet and start learning their magic. This is of course where Megumin learns her explosion magic and gets her iconic outfit, staff and eye patch. In typical Konosuba fashion, it's quite funny, especially the interactions between Megumin and Yunyun. The second half of the season takes place in the city, or the city of Axis, the place where Kazuma and Aqua first go in the main show. Megumin meets this priestess who constantly keeps trying to force Megumin to join the cult of Aqua. And for that goes on for a few episodes, and it's so funny because we know how useless Aqua actually is. So the fact that everyone bigs her up as this like almighty and powerful goddess, when we know how useless she actually is, makes it so much better. And in the final few episodes of the show, Megumin actually sees Kazuma and Aqua. The two of them appear in the background of different scenes, either just their voices, or the two of them actually appear in the background of the scene. It's so great because it doesn't make you it's not Kazuma and Aqua taking any of the spotlight away from Megumin, but you can still see the two of them in the background, seeing them doing their things that they were doing at the very beginning of the show before they met Megumin. Megumin, of course, levels up her explosion magic to, of course, what we know it to be now. And she keeps doing her iconic I am called Megumin speech, which, of course, the thumbnail of the video is actually one of the scenes she's doing that in. And the show actually ends exactly how I thought it would. The show ends with Megumin introducing herself to Kazuma and Aqua. I thought the show would end like that about halfway through. I predicted to myself, I bet that's how the show ends. And then it actually does. The very final scene of the show is Megumin introducing herself to Kazuma and Aqua, which of course is the very first scene of the main show that Megumin appears in. I love how it all came full circle. The only downside to that is there can't be a season 2 of this prequel show, unless it's set even earlier than this prequel show is. Personally, I feel that this show wouldn't have worked if it was Aqua or Darkness as the main character. I feel this show only works because it's Megumin, and she is by far the most popular character in Konosuba. We all know that. She's my favourite character in the show, and she's one of my favourite anime characters ever. And that was the show I enjoyed the most across the spring anime season. My favourite shows from both the winter and spring seasons, the main character of those shows are both voiced by Rie Takahashi. That's an interesting one, isn't it? But that's going to be the end of the video. That is my overview and look back at the 2023 spring anime season. I hope you guys have enjoyed. If you have, please be sure to leave a like, subscribe if you do, and until next time, catch you later.